Hello, everyone. Okay, welcome to our next installment of the assignment demonstration videos. This assignment video will be involved with the plan oblique drawing. These drawings are a bit different. They are again a three-dimensional drawing used for representing multiple elements, multiple sides of the object, but this one is a bit different than the isometric. And in the isometric, as we saw in the example, we were using a 30-degree offset on all our horizontals. Now in a plan oblique, we are shifting our orientation to being a true 90-degree representation of the plan view. So a plan oblique has a preference or an orientation that's based upon the plan view very specifically. But the rules and the procedures and methods are very similar to what we saw in the isometric drawing, and the plan oblique are often used much more frequently in design offices because they're quicker, they're easier, and they rely even a little bit more effectively on the orthographic information without distortion. Now, having said that, if you'll remember, the plan oblique, the isometric, used a 30-degree angle off the horizontal. So that, in this particular case, that was an orientation like this. As we move forward with a plan oblique, we're getting a much steeper view of the object. And so that means that object or the drawing is going to have a higher profile because it's not seen like this, it's seen like this. And so that means it's going to project itself much more largely on the plan or on the finished drawing than before. And so you need to make a mental note that you're going to need more space to make this drawing work. And again, these are rough outs, so as you draw them, it's okay that if they're a little bit tight to this drawing or to this drawing, because in the finished piece, you want to get the drawing correctly drawn and then relocate it and lay a new sheet on top so its placement is correct and not crowding one side of the drawing or the other. So that's your part of the assignment that you need to use a little bit of personal design judgment on. But back to our assignment. So we are working with a very simple set of rules again. Now, in saying that we're not using a 30-degree offset, we're going to be using really a 45-degree offset off of the horizontal, and that's going to be very true to this plan here. So in this particular case, a 45-degree triangle is just fine. Do not, in fact, I suggest setting your 30-degree triangle aside, and because it might confuse you, use just the 45-degree and you'll see how much easier it is to complete the assignment. Okay, so just like last time, what we're going to do is we're going to start with the plan view. We're always going to start with the plan view, project up, connect the dots, finish the assignment. So you're going to see the procedure is very similar, just a few tweaks in the rules. Okay, so as before, I'm going to keep the assignment over here to the side so we can see our unit heights, but we do have them already drawn here. So if something had happened with this guide right here, you could still draw this. In fact, designers and architects solve the issues in their orthographics, test them with their Paraline. And so this set of drawings is used very directly for the creation of Paraline drawings. And we're going to see this much more readily as we move forward with formal assignments in the coming weeks. So, but for this exercise, I'll keep this nearby so we can see this. All right, so here's our isometric. Now we're going to move down to this area here for the plan oblique. And to do that, I'm going to guesstimate my size at right about here, maybe similar to what we've got for this element, for the orthographics provided. Doesn't have to be exact. You'll figure that out later. But to that point, we're going to do the same thing we did with the isometric. And so that means we're going to refer to all the plan boundary elements that we did here, and we're going to follow them with a 45-degree triangle. So we're going to start with this corner again, which is this corner, and we're going to go ahead and map it out. And we're going to use the scale, and we're going to use the triangle 45-degree angle off of vertical. So to do that, I'm going to start with a point. I'm just going to pick a point right here, and we know that is 6. Again, none of these dimensions are going to change, so we're just going to move through them quickly. You should remember them from the first exercise. So the first dimension is 6, and it's 45 degrees off the horizontal. So here's our 45, sorry. Over here, there it is, 45. Take the tail off. I'm going to come back off the horizontal. How far? 2. Mark it, draw it. The other 45, which is going to be off this point right here, is going to also be 2 units long, as we saw previously. So there it is. Now we're at that corner. We're going to extend across this element here, and that's going to be 4, a measure of 4 units. So we extend our line up 4. Again, 45, 45, 45, 45. No changes, no changes to that angle. We're going to come back. Now we're on this side right here. We're going to do that 2 units. Then we're going to do this 2 units, and then we're going to do 6. So we're going to come back to, measure it, and mark it right there. And we're going to test it with alignment, and sure enough, there are the lines. Okay, so because it's symmetric, then some elements are going to naturally align up. We're going to go 2 units back off that line. We're going to extend it from, so now we've moved from this corner to this corner. Now this corner is right there. Okay, so we're going to now draw this line moving back, and that is 6 because it matches the one on the opposite side. So there we go, there's 6, and we test it again, and there we go, it lines up. So I'm going to make these line up just a little bit nicer so we can see them just a little bit better. Okay, those are pretty much complete now. So now what you'll observe is that plan is just that plan right here turned at a 45. By the way, I forgot to mention, one of the other terms you'll see described for a plan oblique is called an axonometric. And that axo, or axonometric drawing, is just this reference. Again, that's in the textbook. You can read that again. But it is using 45 degrees this way, 45 degrees this way. There are cases where people tweak it and go 60-30, but we're not going to do that. It's just not necessary. By the way, computers do this rather well, but we're asking you to think through this process by yourself. So hopefully you've seen that this drawing turned 45 degrees. Oops, the other way, this way. That's what we have here. So we took this drawing, we turned it 45 degrees, slid it down here, and that's what we've got from the plan view. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to follow the next steps, which are the projection up at 3 units high. The wall height's all the way around 3 units high. So just like we did before, we're going to mark them, and then we're going to connect those dots or connect those points. So every corner will be 3 units high from that corner up. And we're going to have that same kind of funny alignment process that's going to happen where one line is going to kind of overlap another line. So you just have to be a little bit observant of that. Understand there is those I'm trying to think of the right term, that distortion that happens. And that distortion is when we try to show multiple planes, and it's just something we deal with. All right, so I've got all four corners located for each corner. This one, this one, this one, so on. So now I'm going to project up those 3 units high on every corner. I'm not going to blast these on too hard yet because I don't want to create too much confusion in the line work. And if your line's a little bit off, just make sure that your measurements are close and you'll be fine. Let's get this corner, go up, and that puts me there. And this last corner gets me up to about there. Now, already I think you can see that we're getting tall here. We're going to have a little bit of a crowding issue, but we'll fix that in the final. All right, so now that we've got all those lines in, we're going to lightly connect them up. Remember, we're going to need to clean up some of these lines later, and so it doesn't make sense to blast them on or put them on really hard right now because you're going to have to erase them later, and it's just more difficult. Okay, so now you can see that we've taken these lines here and connected them up, and so our object now has some height to it, some volume. And we're going to now do the same exercise we did up here, down here, by projecting from the center line up of these 2 panels. And we're going to do it on this side and then on this side. Then we're going to do it on this side and project it back. Same methodology as we used in the isometric, just a little bit different angles, but the methods are the same. Okay, so with that, I'm going to come over here to the bottom of this side, which is this piece here, and I'm going to go up. I'm going to find the halfway point, which is the center line, and I'm going to project up a distance of 6 units high. So I found the midpoint, extended it up, and I mark it. Do the same thing on this side, starting from this corner to this corner. 3. Pay attention. You're going from that corner to that corner. Don't get confused with that. Remember, it is that 6 we're going to the middle up to get. Okay? So I've marked it, and now I'm going to extend up the 6 that it tells me to extend up in the diagram. So there we go. We mark that. And we connect them across. And there they are. Now, so what you're going to observe in this one, because the angle is steeper, we're going to see the backside of the roof element here in this illustration. So let's do like we did before. We're going to connect the corners, and then we're going to clean up. Well, actually, we'll finish the front corners, and that'll help us. Okay, so there's the main roof. Now we have to do this portion here in the front, which is this piece here. Now, to do that, we're going to see more, because again, we're steeper in our viewpoint. We're going to see the backside of this roof as it appears. So to find that, we're going to do the same thing we did before. We're going to measure 4, and we're going to go to the midpoint, which is 2. We're going to project up 5. So we come up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that puts us about right there. Make sure you don't lose that. Okay, so put yourself a point right there. Now, Just like before, we connected the dots or connected those corner points. So we're going to do the same thing here. We've gone up 5, so we're going to come from that peak, we're going to come down to the corner and come down to the corner on this side. Okay, so now we have, as we saw over here, we have a ridge that is projected. It's a horizontal now. Remember, these ridges right here, they still stay horizontal. So because of that, they're going to be at a 45-degree angle, which is what we learned here when we drew this one. Same thing here, but in the other direction. So we're going to project it back, and in the same way, our projection line here went up vertically. We're going to have the same situation, and that we're going to simply vertically project up. Now the back side's going to be a little funny, but the front side, because those are two 45-degree angles coming together, they're going to meet in a vertical. So we project that up, complete that ridge line. Now we've got this side of the roof, but we don't have the back side. So we have to come around the corner, find that corner right there. Okay, so we went around. Remember, it's the top of the 3-foot point. So you marked that already. We're going to go from there to the top of the ridge that we just drew. Okay, and there it is. See how narrow that projection is. That's because we're seeing some of it, but not very much. In the same way, we're seeing some of it on the backside here, but not very much. So I'm going to go ahead and draw in these lines. This pretty much completes this drawing. I'm going to erase some lines, and then I'm going to go through and emphasize some lines. It'll just take a minute, and then you'll see this completed drawing in a little bit more clarity. So I'm going to erase some of these guidelines that we had before. They're not necessary, and they kind of take our mind away from what it is we need to see in the drawing. And again, as a rough, this is an acceptable rough to put in and to turn in as a part of the assignment, your blockouts. And so as long as we see a process involved, then it will fulfill that first portion of the assignment. Now I've erased as much as I can. Again, with an electric eraser, I could do it a little better job. And that's just the difficulties of working with this media. So I'm going to go through and punch through all my verticals real quick here. Okay, now I'm going to do my horizontals, so you can see them a bit better. Again, your goals should be to figure this out in a rough out, and that's all our horizontals there. Oop, we got a horizontal on the roof line here and another horizontal on this roof line here. Okay, so now I've done all my verticals and horizontals. Now I'm just going to finish up by connecting those points of connection, or those intersection points of where the slopes come in, so that the roof's elements become easy to understand and observe. Again, I'm doing this rather quickly, and I should be using a little bit more care in doing this, but I think we're in a pretty good place here. Okay, I got this one to here, and this one to here. Got that horizontal, and that horizontal, and this horizontal, and we are done. Okay, so you could see the drawing. You see how it got crowded up here. I might, when I redraw this, or when you redraw this, you may want to bring it down a little bit. We have one more drawing to do over here, and that will be seen in the next assignment video that we do in just a minute or so. So with that, make sure that you label both these drawings. This will be isometric. This will be plan oblique drawing. Next one's going to be an elevation oblique. And so those are the three paraline drawings we're doing. You've done two. We'll come back in just a moment and complete the assignment, third part of the assignment video section on paralines. So until then, we'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.